السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الواحد الأحد الفرد الصمد الذي لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. ثم الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين وخاتم السفراء الكبراء المغربين العبد المؤيد والرسول المسدد المصطفى الأمجد والمحمود الأحمد حبيب إله العالمين أبي القاسم محمد صلى الله عليه وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين لا سيما بقية الله في الأراضين واللعن الدائم على أعدائهم أجمعين من الآن إلى قيام يوم الدين آمين يا رب العالمين. All praises be upon Allah who bestowed us upon this gracious moment of having this honorable audience in here talking about such a noble topic. We have had several sessions in here that we covered some of the basics of a kind of long discussion about discovering the event of Ashura in a different way and in a new light. Hoping that we can summarize what we have covered in few sessions in the past quickly and then get to the speech of tonight, and then this will continue at least 2 more sessions before we can wrap up the whole thing. We are trying to find a way to understand Ashura better than what we normally usually do. And that's because of the fact that we cannot explain many things and many questions that they pose, and we are confronting the problems. We are trying to find some explanation in which we can make more sense, especially for those who do not necessarily involve in the love of Ahlul Bayt, and they are not necessarily even the believers of Islam and stuff like that. We wanted to see what we do in here, how we can relate to them and how we can make sense for others. We have discussed some of the reasons that somebody might advise us not to commemorate the event of Ashura. One of them is, okay, this is an event that took place 1400 years ago. What does it have to do with today's life, and why do you still dragging this after 1400 years, and until when do you want to do this? There have been so many other events took place that even are more brutal or more bloodier than that event, and you still are commemorating that event. And it's an amazing phenomena that worldwide, it's an amazing phenomena. Worldwide, you normally you forget about something that happened after a few years. I mean, the World War II and World War I, more than 60 million people were died, and how many people after 50 years now remember them? Nobody, almost. They are in the books, in the libraries, but this event is a half-a-day event that actually the number of the casualty was not really high. It was 72 something. And then, I mean, this is a couple of hours of the event, and this, every day it gets more glorious. More people are paying attention to this story and paying really lots of their attention and time and money and effort to commemorate this. This is an amazing thing. We should make sense of what is that makes this so outstanding, whereas the size of the event is not all that huge. And then the political nature of the event also is debatable, because they say that, okay, this was a fight between the cousins, nothing more than that. 2 Arab tribes were fighting over the power, and one was in charge, the other one was rebellious against the person who was in charge, and of course that was very understandable that the one who is holding the power does not allow the other party to topple him. That's very simple. Why do you expect anything else? If you do the same thing in this country here in 2014, what do they do against you? I mean, you take your arm and try to fight and topple the government. What do you expect? So they say that there is no reason for you to commemorate Ashura. And then also there are some other reasons. Okay, Imam Hussein was invited by a group of people to go to Karbala, and then of course they changed their mind, and that's why this event happens. And those who called Imam Hussein were actually the Shia. So Shia were the source of the whole tragedy. Why do you blame anybody else to begin with? And then what is the whole thing all about after 1400 years old? You have some of you or some of your ancestors or somebody called Shia at that time brought him to that trouble and let him down, and that happened. What is that? So you emphasize on this event that much. Again, other issue, other question is that there are other imams who did not do the same thing that Imam Hussein did. Is it the case that if a tyrant ruler is in power, you as imam have the responsibility to fight? If that is the case, why didn't other imams do that? These are not small challenges. These are huge challenges. You have to learn how to deal with these and really make sense. And then I hope after these sessions, you will strongly be convicted that, oh my God, this is a beautiful, beautiful story. And that is so meticulously designed and so victoriously finished that is mind-boggling. And all these questions and many, many other questions are easily we will be able to answer and handle those. I believe that the Ashura is a victim of misunderstanding. The Ashura is really badly misunderstood by everybody, including us, for the most part. And we hope that God helps us, Allah helps us, and Imam Hussein himself is gracious to us to decipher this a little bit more tonight. Just the historical background, I'm going fast these sessions so we can get to tonight's session. Uniqueness of Karbala is a very significant thing in the history of Islam and in the narrations and everything that we have in hands. You know that mourning and remembrance of Karbala is unique. Nothing is similar to that. The value, the credit, the thawab that they give you for the mourning is amazing, and it is incomparable to anything else. Even any of the other imams, or even the Prophet, Holy Prophet himself, or Fatima Zahra Salamullah, none of them commemorating them and mourning for their demise is not as valuable or as credible or as recommended as Imam Hussein. There is something behind this. There is a reason and there's a wisdom behind all this. And then, you know, the soil of Karbala has some specific ruling that doesn't apply to any soil of anywhere else on the face of the earth. And these are many things, including the recommendation that all, without exception, all the imams have told us, if there is any event, regardless of it's a sad or happy event, you remember Imam Hussein. That's your responsibility and that's your duty, and that's the best thing to do on that occasion. I don't care if it's a happy occasion or sad occasion. Always remember Imam Hussein. If you want to cry for anything, first and last, cry for Imam Hussein. If you want to remember any shaheed, just include Imam Hussein. That is an amazing phenomenon. You don't see that even for Holy Prophet. There is a reason behind all this. We are just giving the introductory thing to see why this is such a magnificent event. So the question is how we can justify this, and then we ask ourselves, do we do our job in respect to the Ashura? Did we do what we are supposed to do? In other words, are we really happy with the way that we have historically and momentarily done our job and responsibility before the event of Ashura. A couple of things I have to mention quickly and then go further. Mourning and commemorating is the first thing that always we need to do about this event. At the end of this session, inshallah, not this session, this couple of the whole lectures, you will see why mourning is so important. That's the secret to the whole story. We will, inshallah, find a reasonable explanation of why this still matters and why this still helps humanity, why this still helps Islam and everything. Of course, we need to communicate Ashura with others. The question is, when we don't know what the Ashura is and we don't know the wisdom, the very deep wisdom behind it, how can we expect to be able to explain this for the others? And then there is a quest for the big picture. I'm inviting everybody to have a different perspective about Ashura, a larger picture which encompasses a lot more than just one event that took place in one day, half a day, and it was concluded at the end of the day of Ashura. We need to understand Ashura in line with three different very important topics. The first one is prophethood. We need to look at Ashura from the perspective completely related to the concept of prophethood. We will, inshallah, address tonight what the prophethood has to do with Ashura at all. That's the plan, inshallah. And then we have to explain Ashura and try to remember and learn Ashura and analyze Ashura under the light of what happened in the Qadir. Everybody knows the Qadir. Is there anybody here who doesn't know any question about the Qadir event? Everybody knows that? Please raise your hands. I will be very happy to explain briefly. That's the appointment of Imam Ali, at the Hajjatul Wada. For before 120,000 people, that huge event took 3 days for Holy Prophet to explain how important it is, and there is a verse of Quran that came down just because of that event. Ya ayyuha rasul balligh ma unzila ilayka min rabbik fa in lam taf'al fama ballaghta risalatahu wallahu ya'simuka minan nas, and so forth. So this is the story of Qadir, that we should look at Ashura and try to connect the two very deeply and meticulously. And at the last and not the least is the Mahdism and Mahdaviyat. That has a lot to do with Ashura. We will explain, inshallah, as we proceed in this discussion. Let's look at the issue of prophethood. Now we have heavens, we have God, whatever, supernatural forces, whatever you want to call it, Allah. And this Creator wants to communicate with us. And that takes place through a logic. Think of a pyramid in here. On the top of it is where all the guidance comes from Lord to us, to the humans, across the history of mankind. And then you will see that at the top of this pyramid is somebody that we call prophet. Prophet is the one that receives message and delivers and conveys the message to the others. Very clear, right? Very simple. How many prophets have we had in the past? Anybody here? Yes.
124,000?
Yes, thank you. 124,000 is according to some of our narrations. There are other numbers as well, but this tells us that there was a huge number of individuals that were appointed by God to receive the message, the guidance, and then they delivered that guidance to the people. That was very simple, the only way that God chose to talk to us. And there is here a question, why did God choose that way? Wasn't it possible for him to do a different way? Like, for example, let's say, why didn't he talk to us directly, every single one of us? He could have done that easily. It's not impossible for him to talk to us directly. There is a reason, there is a wisdom behind it. And believe it or not, that's the best way of guiding people, sending an apostle and the prophet. I cannot, unfortunately, elaborate on the details of this, but just have that question in the back of your mind, and someday you will find the reason, inshallah. Why was this the best way of guiding mankind? Sending or appointing the best person in any society to be a prophet, and then reveal by the angel ark or whatever it is, reveal the guidances to him, and he then talks to people and read that for people. That is the best, the most sophisticated, the most efficient way of guiding people to the righteousness. Of course, on the bottom of this, the audience, the mankind, who are always, at the time of each prophet, there are a group of people who are the audience of his invitation. So the system in here, now look at a different perspective. Think of these little circles as different ummah, different people, different groups. Let's say this is Ibrahim, he is ummah, and this is Nuh, this is Lut, this is, and so each one of them is different ummah. Let's say 124,000 prophet has come, has been appointed to talk to different groups of people, right? So what happened was that these were in communication directly with their people, right? There is a verse in the Quran which is very important. It says that وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَا مِن رَسُولٍ إِلَّا بِلِسَانِ قَوْمِهِ. We never appointed any prophet unless he was speaking the same language as his own people. If the people are speaking in Arabic, he sends an Arab speaker. They don't talk to the Chinese with the English prophets, right? That's common sense. So Allah sent for every nation throughout this whole history of mankind since Adam, the first prophet, thousands of prophets which were speaking the same language, and as a matter of fact, they were living next door to the people. It was not distance between. This is an important point that I'm highlighting here. You'll see why. So basically, what happens is that these prophets come in different areas, in different sessions of time, and different circumstances, and talk to people about the values that God wants us to believe in and follow. So what happens is that at the same time, while the prophets are working on us to learn about the spirituality and the religion and the blessings of God and all those religious issues, at the same time mankind is advancing in their real daily life, right? They're not all the time in masjids, right? They are doing their business, they are doing their industrial advancement, they are doing their scientific research, whatever humanity has done throughout these thousands of years, right? So at the same time, two things are in current, 1 and 2. Two things are happening in here. One is that our spirituality and our religious teachings are being more advanced and more sophisticated and more elaborated by each addition of each of the prophets. At the same time, we are experiencing life. We are learning about nature. We are expediting expeditions or journeys or discoveries and inventions, and all that is at the same time happening. Along with that means that humanity is growing in his other aspect of life, which is the real daily life, material life. And that's very interesting that these two has a lot to do with each other. They go hand in hand, and that is one of the secrets of the Ashura. We will see that later, inshallah. Okay, now we learn that after this, these prophet after prophet after prophet after prophet, there is something happening, and that thing is that humanity is growing more and more advanced, and become the whole humanity is getting to this. You know what the main source of our advancement in culture, in civilization, who are they? Where do they come from? All the civilizations, look back, look at them, study them, you will see there are prophets. The prophets are the source of all those civilizations, and whatever humanity has attained from day one, that he was in the caves. So at the same time, of course, what happens is that the humanity as a whole intellectually grows. This is very important. So the time from here to here is thousands of years from the time that Adam alayhi salam came to play. Now, what happens is that not only the religion is being perfected from here to here, the mankind is advancing from here to here to become more and more knowledgeable about himself, about the world, about the nature, about how to live socially in peace. And the advancements of social life is amazing that humanity has made. Someday they were living like animals, right? Now they are living a whole lot different, right? Those are all the things that has something to do with why all these discussions of Ashura are now taking place in here. Until something happens, and that is the seal of prophethood. Okay, remember one more time in here, we were here talking about this, right? This event was that the prophet was always attached, connected to the whole body of mankind and the society, right? Now, what happens is that the prophethood stops, ceases, right? We have the seal of prophethood. Who is it? Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. So, what happened? Before, people had the opportunity to be in contact with their perfect man, right? Prophets are the best of their time, right? They are the perfect, the perfect, as perfect as man can become at that stage of the history, are they, right? So now the people are really benefited from having this person in their tribe, in their neighborhood, in their city, town, whatever, right? If they have questions, they go and ask their questions. If they see him, they fall in love with him actually, with his moral, his values, his akhlaq, and his behavior. Everything is so attractive that people really have a real hard time to forget about all those positive things that exist in that personality of that character. But then when we have the seal of prophethood, there is some huge event in here. From this moment on, this last prophet is going to live amongst you only 63 years, and that's it. That's it. There is no more of these nice, perfect people being appointed directly from Allah and talking to you guys. Watch it. This is going to be a different game. From now on, there's a different game. So, but to this point, the communication between the Creator and the creation and the mankind was on a one-to-one basis for the most part, right? The Holy Prophet, the prophets were living in the community that everybody had a chance to contact them for the most part. I mean, that was very unusual that somebody who has never had a chance or impossible to reach out to that prophet if you have a question or you want to just see him, cannot do that. That was the nature of all the religions in the past, right? If I'm not right, please stay right. And then one of the important things is that the prophets have always had the same language, the same culture, and at the same time, right? It's very easy to, to love them, to follow them, to learn about them, It was a doable thing. But the prophethood ceased, stopped at some point, and from that moment on, we believe that there is a change here in the discourse of religion. This communication between the Creator, the heaven, the supernatural forces and mankind is now entering a new era, entering absolutely different world, absolutely different circumstances. It is based on what we have already attained by previous prophets. However, it's a new session, new chapter, new game. So we need to use all the previous experience that we already discussed a few minutes ago, but we have a different field to play with and in. So that if you wanted to look at the change gear, I don't know how much you are mechanically inclined. If you have, let's look at that wheel number 1, that's that pulley or the gear wheel. It's just turning clockwise, right? And then if you wanted to run the number 3 the same direction, then you have to use another gear which is going to turn against the first one, right? That's the nature of the changing gear. When you change gear from one system to the next level up. That's what really happened, we think, with the seal of prophethood. What does it have to do with Ashura? You will know, inshallah, gradually. We'll get close to that, inshallah. So the thing is that the guidance from the divine guidance from heavens come to mankind up to the time of Holy Prophet by a person who was appointed. From that moment on, not that the humanity does not need any more of guidance, not that the life of humanity is much less complicated or much less sophisticated, that he doesn't need any extra additional help. It's not that. It's not the reason that Allah stopped sending new prophets. There is probably other reasons behind it. It's a change gear. It's the requirements of the time at this moment on is different. Remember, in those illustrations, we showed that as humanity grew in the religious understanding, they grew in the social and their technological and the scientific and their intellectual life as well. Now the seal of prophethood comes at least with 3 things we mentioned, elaborated on this in previous sessions. One of them was the maturity of the mankind now requires a more advanced system for the relationship and the discourse between sky and earth, basically. It's requirement of the growth of the mankind, and that was by the plan of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He decided to do that, and he did it very successfully, as a matter of fact. He has always been successful, despite the opposite to many of us. Time to time comes that, God was planning to do this, but then the people deviated and did it the wrong way, different. No, that's not what happens in the world. He is in power. Trust me. He can do whatever he wants to do. And he has done it up to this moment. It's us need to have a better understanding of why Ashura takes place, why Imam Ali is murdered like that, and so forth and so on. One of the questions that we asked, if you remember, was that, do you think in Ghadir, the Holy Prophet expected anything different from what later on happened? No, he knew it. He knew it for sure what's going to happen. There are many, many reasons for that. I cannot elaborate on those things, historically proven and the recorded reasons. It's not that people can change things the way that they want, opposite to what Allah has in plan. No, He's in power. Trust me. We need to understand, find an understanding to explain everything that happened, that in appearance it's opposite to what Allah wishes, but in reality it is what Allah wants and plans. So back to that pyramid that we had Prophet on the top, which receives the guidance from heavens, and then there is on the bottom the audience, which is the society that the Prophet usually lives with them. They hear him, they communicate with him, and then there is same language, same culture, same time, everything, and they are communicating. Allah reveals angel arc, Gabriel or whatever, give the guidance to the to the prophets of each time, and then they communicate with their people directly, in touch with the people, and kind of moving ahead with their teachings. Of course, at this stage, in the parentheses, remember that not everybody follows the prophets, right? And for the most part, actually, more than not, the majority did not register and sign up with the believers. So what happened? You have heard of Adab, right? You have heard of wrath of God, right? This is an amazing topic. I cannot address it tonight. I want to throw out this question for you, especially the young ones, to think about this and go and study and learn what is going on in the event, in the topic of Adab and the wrath of God. It's an amazing phenomenon that there is a lot of wisdom behind those. It's not that God was angry, so he just cursed them and just demolished it. This is not why he did that. There is a whole lot more into it. Try to contemplate on the verses of Holy Quran that refer to the azab and what happened to the nations in the past and what was the outcome. This is all in the same plan that we are now talking. The elaboration takes hours, but this is the conclusion of that. So that is in parentheses for you. So anyways, the people, the majority might not follow the prophets, but good people tried to be in line with him, and then went to the next nation and next nation and next generation, and generation after generation. They grew in both sides, remember, in religiosity and the understanding from the supernatural life and afterlife and all that, as well as their daily life in this world, in this nature. They grew in both arenas. So after still of prophethood, there is a difference, as you see in here. The prophet is no more in the society, right? This one is passed away, and there is no other prophet after that. So there is a kind of, looks like a disconnection between that passed away demise prophet and the people who are left alone in here, right? And then beyond that is that, on top of that, is that it's not only the society that prophet was related to, like Mecca, Medina, or whatever. No, it's now the whole mankind. If the number of people was like 2-3 million at the time of Holy Prophet, how many people are on the face of earth today? Like 7 billion? And it could be much more than that as we go along, right? So it's different game. It's altogether a different game. It's no more one person's job, right? Makes sense? Communicating with all these people spread all over the world with all the different natures, remember? Different nature, different language, different culture, everything is different. And then you expect one man can come and get the revelation and then deal with all this diversity? There is a reason why the seal of prophethood happened. It's no more applicable. We need an alternative way. If we, as God, as the director of the whole play, want to achieve the goal, which is a perfected man at the end, the whole, the goal of the creation is I didn't create all the jinn and ins except for the ultimate goal, the outmost goal that they can attain is. Yes, please.
I'm sorry, I'm just a little bit confused because Prophet Muhammad came for mankind, but not like Arabs only, right? So it's for every person, and his teachings permeate the times and the ages. So I think it was sufficient by God. I don't understand what happens, why it's like a disconnect. I guess that's what I'm...
Well, by disconnect, thank you for the good question. By the disconnect, we mean that he has passed away. He is no more available to the mankind to directly communicate with him, with the way that he was for his own people 1400 years ago when he was living in Medina or Mecca. People, if they had a question, they had a way to find the answer to the question, right? If they wanted to just benefit from his beauty of his actions, his attitude, his morals, he was available to people, and that was the best role model for everybody. He is no more in contact with the humanity, and he is for humanity. People in China, except for the Muslim groups, they have no idea what is the characteristics of Holy Prophet. They have no connection. So that is what we mean by that disconnect. Yes, please.
I wanted to ask, how you're saying that they disconnect, but some people can still talk to the prophet through prayer, because some people they say through prayer at the end you can ask Allah for questions and answers. If you ask Allah for he will answer.
Good question. We are not talking about our spiritual communication as believers to our role models and to our imams or to our prophet. We're talking about the actual life out there, the person who is a prophet living, and the people are communicating with him, and he orders them, do this, do that, and then they have questions come, and there's no way that you can go to Holy Prophet and then remember. Then now we are talking about the whole humanity. It's not even all the Muslims or living in the Mecca or Medina. So it's a huge change of gears, as we mentioned earlier. So what happens is that there is something that in this new plan or in this alternative method of communication comes to play. There is a verse in Quran that says, "Kuntum khayra ummatin ukhrajat lin-nas ta'muruna bil ma'ruf wa tanhauna 'anil munkar." You were the best people who were put out to do good things, to forbid the devil act and promote the righteousness. Okay, we are going to, inshallah, after we complete our tonight's, because we have to conclude for tonight, and because of the other sessions of the lamentation that is going to start shortly, I have to wrap up to this point, and then inshallah we'll continue next night, contingent to life, inshallah. In that verse of Quran, Allah mentions the audience of the Quran, which is supposedly the Muslims, that to be the best ever people on the face of earth that have ever been gathered, just because of the teachings of Quran. Now, their duty is two main things: Amr bil Ma'ruf and Nahy anil Munkar. These are the two major functions of this best nation, right? There is another verse in Quran that we will discuss it inshallah later on, that elaborates on this phenomenon of the Khairul Ummah, the best nation, and explains how this nation functions actually. What is their role and what is their position? We have to know these things to first of all understand what is our responsibility before the event of Ashura. Why the Ashura took place the way it took place, and answer all the questions that why didn't other Imams do the same thing that Imam Hussein did? Why did Imam Hussein at some point ask, if you don't want me, let me go back to my town? Or many other different questions that you have in the Ashura in order to learn why that thing happened and took place, so to be able to explain it and make sense for yourself. for the others, and then find your duty and your responsibility at this time in this place before the event of Ashura and the whole story of prophethood. You will learn that you are a living part of this whole plan. You are part of this whole plan. You are not just an observer. You are not just a reader of the history. You are the one who actually creates history for your part. And we hope that, inshallah, we will be able to discuss this a little bit more, elaborate on this, and get to the bottom of why Ashura took place the way it took place. I will be available for those of you who have questions. My intention is to create as many questions as I can. If I can wrap up some of them and answer some of them, I will be very happy. But the more important thing is to bring up some sensible questions. Some questions that make you think about these topics. Don't take everything for granted. Don't expect everybody accept the way that you accept things, and see the way that you see things, so you can, inshallah, be more of effective reaction to all these things. May Allah bless you all, and thank you very much for your attention. Sallallahu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad.
Alhamdulillah, once again we had the opportunity to benefit from Shahangian's insight, and as we are coordinating our program with the main hall, we will transition to a short rosa by our brother Salman in English. The lights will be turned quite dark, so if the children have anything that they may be losing, this is the best time to put it away. And please, with a loud salawat, let's invite Brother Salman to the podium.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد